What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part, I want to say 12 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Orion Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, just laughing because of the T/A posing that we've got still going on here. So the, well, restart of the game since the last episode didn't solve that. But anyway, as we saw last time, we hunted down Chaos, defeating forces belonging to Undivided, Nurgle, and Tzeentch, all of which were pretty darn fun fights and very different from each other. We've now got the Gaian Vale in our, well, number of trees, and let's see, how many do we still have to go? Orion's Camp, which should be an easy one. We got Sacred Pools and the Witchwood still to take. We should probably also count the Griffinwood because we can't directly confederate DRUCHII with a quest, so we're just going to keep on waiting on trying to confederate her. Anyway, in terms of what we got to do this time, I think we did most of the stuff that we needed to do last episode at the end of last turn. However, before we do end it, I promised last episode that I would not forget to name things. So I'm going to start this episode with naming things, because that way I won't get distracted by fighting all the fun fights, as I have a tendency to do. So we'll start here with DRUCHII. Why DRUCHII? Just because I clicked on it. Let's see. What do we got for Treekin? Iron, Thorn, Reavers. Alright, that fits. Lovely. Terrible Timber, Ironthorn, Reavers. Next. How many Treekin should we name? Enough. We should name enough. Moonspring Sentinels. Oh, solid names for the Treekin. Moonspring Sentinels, Neighbors, Angry Hedges. I'm gonna say hedges, because there's many of them. All bark, no bite. I mean, I'm sure they have some bite. They do have the capability of biting, I would think. And disgruntled trees. They are disgruntled, and they are trees, so, fair enough. I was about to say we should name some tree men as well. Oh, wow, you guys give me a lot of tree men suggestions. All right, we only got the 2 tree men for now, so, and just like all of you guys naming dragons and naming Hawk Riders, we have limited numbers of them so far, so we can only name so many. So, Kirin Goldbranch, if I can just spell ya correctly, and I mean, I know they're malevolent, but you know what? It's going to be a long time till we get the regular ones. And let's do, okay, the Sequoia Sentinel. Cucumba the Great Hydrator. I feel like that should be a green one, because cucumbers are green, right? So, anyway, not super important. But naming things is important, guys. It most definitely is, because I forgot for 2 episodes straight, and now I have to do it. Alrighty, how about, how many of the Wild Riders did we name? We got some new ones in here, didn't we? We have Scora and a few bucks, and the 2 with shields are not yet named, so you can be the Buckaroos, and you can be Hooves of Justice. Not a single name suggestion for Sisters of the Thorn? But why? Alright, Hooves of Justice. Or maybe there were some and I have to scroll down, and I'm too late. I think I named all the Hawk Riders here. Ah, no, actually this one's not named. Alright, we have a spare Hawk Rider name, and I have like a dozen names to choose from, so I'm just gonna take the one at the top of the list, Band of Hawks. Simple, straight to the point. Eternal Guard, let's name some of these guys. Alright, I know it's gonna take a minute, but, well, I'm doing several episodes worth of naming in one go. Maybe it's actually better to do it this way on occasion, rather than, well, forgetting. Anyway, let's do Laurelin's Vengeance for you. Eternal Guard. I'm going to assume that any name for Eternal Guard and Eternal Wardens is, you know, sort of the same. Challengers of Eldrazzor. I spelled Eldrazzor wrong. And that's wrong. Eldrazzor. There we go. And Telperian's Avengers as well. Alrighty. What else should we name? I think... Let's do... Oh, we don't have any of the... I don't have any of the Blade Singers. Yeah, let's name a War Dancer at least. Alright, Loic's Kiss for you. Assuming that I didn't already do that one. No, we did Dance Macabre. I remember... I think Naeth, who used to be Daith, is holding that one. Yes, alright. Did that one. Oh, some Zotes. Yes, we do have Zotes in slightly bigger numbers now. And they need names as well. Zotes and the Rage of Zolcath the Zote. Who is not canon, but anyway. And Hammers of Ariel. Lovely, and ooh, we actually got some names for the Deepwood Scouts. I am pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting these guys to get names, so let's do these. Dark Bark Legion. Alright, I'll stop with the Deepwood Scouts. I don't want to waste too much of the episode doing this. Balls Deep. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And not so long bows. Lovely. Alright, that's good enough. 3 for 3. Let us end the turn so that I can shut up for a minute. Assuming that we don't have to move anybody else. Zoltelthios is fine. Iskura is fine, waiting for her war dancers. Nath is... actually should be in the Forest of Gloom, so we're going to pop you in the Forest of Gloom then. I doubt that the dwarfs will attack us. Sincerely doubt it. But if they do, they won't do well. And I believe that's it then. Garrison Lord not moved, unassigned skill points, building upgrades, outpost upgrades, damaged building outpost available with Athel Loren. That is one that we need, but they can't build anything that we want right now, unless I'm mistaken. Because they lost their capital, and that was where they were getting their elite troops, meaning we don't really need the outpost there. We already have one with Yvress, and we don't care for any of the gunpowder stuff, because that is not something that the Wood Elves would countenance. Frankly, even the regular elves wouldn't countenance it, but anyway. Well, I don't know. Maybe some of the... maybe some of the more advancement-minded would... wonder if the Sea Elves would... or maybe even Loren Elves would countenance using some gunpowder stuff. Probably not, but nonetheless. Anyway, where were we? I doubt it. Reichland and the Golden Order. Yeah, once again, there's not a lot of Imperial stuff that we're super keen on. Maybe something like Luminarchs, though, might be interesting. Though that feels more like a... it would work more with the High Elves and the Wood Elves, but anyway, we'll deal with it later. I'm just gonna end the turn. We've been waiting in ambush for Festus the Leech Lord, who, if this succeeds, will presumably lose his crown. Alright, come on. We're probably not gonna take the Nemesis crown for ourselves, mostly because I don't want the massive reduction of relationship with everybody. I mean... okay, we're not going to peace out with you, but anyway, we might not care about that sort of thing, but the thing is I really want to ally with the Lizardmen, and several of the Lizardmen, mind you. Your army was spotted. Oh, that's a shame, and we won't have our reinforcements coming in, because we were spotted, which means valiant defeat, casualties high. We do have to deal with Festus and his crown, and the fact that, alright. And the fact that we don't have the reinforcements to knock down a lot of his army before we do, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. This is Durthu. Even if his entire army dies, Durthu will be fine. Oh, I should have named some of the heroes as well. Will I do it next time? Or will I forget? Let's find out, but for now we fight. Alrighty, here we go. Forest Spirit's gonna have to fight in the snow here. They're probably not gonna be too happy about it. I'm not sure that Durthu is still sane enough to notice, however. Sane or not, he does still have tactical options left to him, so he is going to move forward by himself and try to bring down this giant since it has 157 HP. We'll pop off a Lamentation of Despairs. It's bad against single targets like this, and yeah, okay. Only one of the projectiles actually hits the giant, and the giant glares across the field at Durthu, having barely taken any damage, and will continue running around. We'll try to drop him with a Flock of Doom, and it looks like, while the giant did get hit by it, it survived with 1 HP. Maybe the AI's cheating, or maybe I just have terrible, terrible luck, but the giant will escape with 1 HP, and will start getting healed by Festus. Festus, of course, a very, very powerful healer, as long as he can maintain his distance to his entire army, as in be near the rest of his army. He can keep them all at full HP. Frankly, if it wasn't for DRUCHII's madness, he'd be a much stronger healer than Festus was, but alas, doesn't have access to that aspect of his godlike powers. Fortunately for us, however, alright, down goes the giant at last. A second Lamentation of Despair actually will bring it down. A little bit of a waste, mind you, but, well, still better than letting the giant whack away at a few of those Treekin. Anyway, speaking of the Treekin, we did keep our line, waiting for the enemy charge, allowing the Hounds of Decay to move on in and waste their charge on the extremely tanky Treekin, who take effectively no damage from the Hounds of Decay. As soon as their charge was spent, the Dryads, led by the Wraiths of the Frozen Heart, make their way forward and start fighting those Marauders, Chaos Warriors, Hounds of Decay, and whatever else Festus has brought to the fray. Festus being whacked away at by DRUCHII at this point, and of course Festus has no chance of doing any kind of damage to DRUCHII, plague or not. DRUCHII also does have access to a healing potion, so even if he does somehow manage to get hurt, it won't be particularly threatening. The main enemy line is getting kind of surrounded. We also have two branch wraiths over there that lead our Dryads and Treekin. Another Dryad protecting the left flank, where she is using her Helm of Discord and reducing the enemy capabilities. Festus is trying to escape DRUCHII now, realizing that he can do absolutely nothing, but too late, he's too slow, and DRUCHII brings him down and, well, shocks the enemy's morale. By the looks like, with Festus's death, most of his army has already given up. The Exalted Plaguebearers are still fighting, their leadership is still solid, and of course the other demonic units like those Beasts of Nurgle will fight to the death. Will fight to banishment, rather. But they have little chance of it now, especially without the healing. Plus, we can still see the active Shield of Thorns on our entire army. Quite appropriate, I think, on the Treekin and Dryads as well. And here comes DRUCHII to join the fray once more. It looks like the enemy Exalted Hero will run by him. I was hoping that he would charge him directly. And DRUCHII sends another parting Lamentation of Despair at him. Frankly, if we wasted two, we might as well waste the last third one. And we join the fray once more and smash into the back line of Exalted Plaguebearers. Looks like the Exalted Hero does want to come back, trying to hack away at DRUCHII's trunk-like legs, but he's a little bit too small, and even if axes have done damage to DRUCHII in the past via the dwarfs, I don't think the single Exalted Hero of Nurgle is going to be enough, and in fact, seeing the ineffectiveness of his strikes, he will shatter, and the Exalted Plaguebearers will begin their banishment, and it looks like in a few seconds, the battle will be fully ours. And we don't really need to chase the Exalted Hero with DRUCHII, but we do need to chase down the rest of the army, as this was a failed ambush, and thus the army will survive whatever escapes here. So, we'll be doing lots of chasing. The Dryads are pretty darn good at it, or at least against standard infantry, so we'll let them do so, but do so off-screen. Alright, nice little fight. Festus was obviously going to be better off actually staying in the middle of his army, doing the whole Death Star thing that makes him so obnoxious to fight, but alas, the AI didn't capitalize it and allowed DRUCHII to just execute him, and despite being busy with him, DRUCHII still managed to rack up 76,000 damage. Very nice for him. As for the trees, let's see, 6.6k, 8.6k, all bark, no bite. Well, they certainly made sure that the enemies bit off more than they could chew, as they did win the day for the Treekin. 3.5k or healing, I'm going to say, considering this is a very minor amount of healing, will take the money. Yeah, I'll take the money. We're still recruiting and stuff. And speaking of recruiting, there was a suggestion that we may want to use the outposts in order to recruit stuff. And, well, if we get a good location where there's ideally 4... What do you want? Bowmen of Orion? No, we have to be at war with you. We'll deal with you later. And, okay, I'll get back to that thought in a second if I don't forget. The Nemesis Crown. The timeless, blackened power of the Nemesis Crown now rests in your hands, awaiting a choice that may impact the course of destiny and the fate of the entire world. You could seal the crown away so that its evil may never threaten the world again, but of course such power is always begging to be exercised. Yeah, see, this is what I don't want. The diplomatic relations with reduction with all factions. Sure, it's nice, but well, frankly, the missile strength and reload bonuses aren't useful for DRUCHII at all. So keeping the crown on him is kind of meh. Sure, it does make him more powerful, but he's already obnoxiously strong. And conversely, we get a nice casualty replenishment and replenishment in foreign territory buff, as well as a little bit of cash. Frankly, I do think it should be a little bit more cash than this. Well, you know what? Maybe this increases as the game goes longer. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, so we're gonna seal the crown. There's no need for it. Especially since DRUCHII has power to draw upon that is probably much greater than the crown anyway. But anyway, Doctor retired, more casualty replenishment rate, and DRUCHII can heal to full relatively easily. Nice. Attack-minded, Chaos Breaker. That seems appropriate for DRUCHII. Constructor, Hunting Hound, Young Stag, ready for duty, Aka, Lady of the Glade. Spring emerges, and Nemesis Crown sealed away. Lovely. Alright, let's destroy the remnants of this force, I guess, with DRUCHII. Now, between the episodes, I had a Lundelling raise Crudenwald, because it was one of those little tiny battles where, you know, it didn't feel like it warranted an actual fight, but, you know. Anyway, Ellendelling. I'm gonna figure out what to do with you in a second. DRUCHII, kill Fragnus, please. We're probably gonna have DRUCHII cast down Brass Keep. Auto-resolve this, see how much damage this does to us. A little bit to the Dryads, but it's fine. The Treekin are fine. It looks like the auto-resolve really likes the Treekin, so if we want to send an army out to sea, Treekin might be a solid sort of set of units. Treekin and some range units as well, because the Treekin will be targeted first. I'm gonna design a sort of couple of armies just to move around at sea, but anyway, you can take the money again. We'll deal with it in a bit. Anyway, Forest Spirit, always nice to see. We will take DRUCHII, and we'll put him right to the edge of this territory, and I guess head around to Brass Keep. Not like Norden is a particularly important place to go. Plus, we can send DeLuric / Ellendelling this way. She can certainly burn stuff down.
Lady of the
Yeah, I think I like that. Alright, what I would like to see, though, is the healing comparison. 17 and 2 here. And if we go here into our allied territory, what do we have? We have... I forgot what unit it was. I think it was this one, and it's still 17 and 2, right? I'm just gonna assume that it is. Alright, Deluric. You... Okay, wait. Are currently the Herald of the Hunt, but I think we're gonna give that to Ellendelling because I want her to have an all-mobile sort of army, with the possible exception of a couple of Waystalkers, because they do provide charge bonus, even though they can't have a mount, which is a little bit of an unfortunate aspect to them, but they do still seem useful to these guys. Anyway, yeah, Ellendelling, you're gonna swap in. So, go here, Deluric. You are useful. Oh, we have to directly kick you up? Sorry. Alright. I always feel bad to kick them instead of replace them. It just feels mean, just because of the little boot icon. But anyway, Ellendelling, like so. And you can swap. For now, keep the Glade Riders. You won't keep them forever. Ellendelling, you can keep Toltiran, because you do want at least one Waystalker. And you can... just swap all of these range units around. We'll still have Deluric follow you for a bit. But we'll delete those guys in a bit as well. And Middenheim will probably give to the Empire because they can actually build a... well, you know what? We could probably build the Foraging Groves. And, oh, what I was talking about. Yeah, if we want to make use of this building to recruit, just answer the comment here rather than typing up a storm. Recruitment costs -10 per building, so we'd want to place with 4 of the... with 4 settlements in order to make the best use of this, in order to recruit in outposts. And alright, I forgot about Ungrel. Well, we didn't manage to ambush him, but you know what? That does mean these guys will fight, which is nice. Which is nice and fun, and I love it. Alright, well, I'll deal with that once I've finished my thought here. We can't do it here, though, in the Southern Grey Mountains, because this is the one essentially 4 settlement outpost province, if that's what we're going to call them, outpost province here that is benefiting almost all of Athel Loren, and it's a pretty big deal, because you can see 255 growth on Crag Halls of Findal, which are getting the benefit of this, and 175 on the Val's Anvil. The growth is pretty critical to us right now, so we can't do anything about that. I also just realized, because we're in spring, we should have a reduction in construction costs, and that was a good time to build some tier 4 structures and stuff. Also, -12 for... they want a military alliance, but they don't want a defensive alliance. That's kind of curious. And I know it feels weird to ally with the dwarves, but I do like the idea of them watching the sort of heathlands, and who else are we going to give the Badlands to? All of this is full of enemies that are annoying, and... Another issue with holding heathlands is, well, holding heathlands. We don't want to send armies around there to be constantly dealing with stuff. So I think it might not be a bad idea to just ally with the Razakrector. 6.5k is a little bit steep there, Thorgrim. It's a little bit steep, but I don't think we have anything else to give you. I don't want to give you these right now. You know what I should have done? I should have occupied Iron Rock and just transferred it to them. We could do Black Crag. Probably. Or we could just do it right now. You know what, let's do the rest of the turn and I'll think about it, presuming that I don't also forget about it. Ooh, yes, forgetting about things. Here is what we'll do. First of all, Chosen. Our first Shadow Dancer. I do like that all enemies have lowered missile weapon range by -20% during battles. This is a hex, so it does not stack, but it is still nice. Gloaming Zenith, that's pretty good as well. The effect range is quite small at -5 melee attack, but if we do some aura stacking, this would be nice. I also thought this would be a really nice effect to have in a ranged army in case we need to slow enemies down. I also don't know what the Shadow Dancers do. I presume that, well, I don't know what they do other than buff War Dancers, which they should do. Very tempted by the Chill Blade. I feel like we're going to do one Sylvan Guardian, though, especially for the War Dancer army, which will have no range whatsoever. Alright, let's check you out, shall we? What can you do other than this? Alright, so we have 4 by the looks of little lines. Oh, they don't actually cancel each other out. Okay, that's neat. Shadow Illusion, so like Lethanar, you can spawn illusion of yourself. Hinder replenishment is useless, and oh, they have no... wait, so what do they do to an army once they join it? Replenish troops. I don't even see replenish troops. Oh, it's right here. Well, that's useful. I didn't realize these guys replenish troops. I don't know why these are switched here, swapped, but what else do we have here? Stormer Blades, Whirling Death. Okay, these I remember. These are all abilities. Yeah, but what I was curious about is, what do you buff? You should give Anger Deployment, cooldown, Devotee of Loic. Are you telling me they have no buffs whatsoever for War Dancers? Is it me or is that odd? Elusive, Shadows, enemy range, -10% enemy armies in province. Oh, we could still stack this with that. That was probably a good idea. But anyway, that's surprising. They don't seem to have anything that directly buffs the Loic units. And the really weird thing about the Shadow Dancers not buffing other Loic units is the fact that Glade Captains do, by virtue of having touched by Loic. That's really strange. But anyway, I still want 2 of them in this army. It's a little bit unfortunate because it's kind of difficult to get capacity for these guys, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, I think Shadow's Fall is probably gonna be quite useful, but we'll level you later. Alright, Aezrit. You know what, another thought. We could put a Branch Wraith into the Loek army. Branch Wraiths combine the lures of life and shadow, which is, you know, that seems appropriate for Loek. I would actually like a different trait than the ones we have here, though. Warrior Bane isn't too bad, but we can get that as an item. And there's better traits to be found here, like the Spell Mastery one. Well, either way, we're going to attack you in a second. Let's keep moving, though. Orion. And now, we want to take the Shrine of Cain. Oh, right, we can't use the frickin' World Roots on frickin' Ulthuan. This is why we left. This is terrible. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to go into a camp stance and start moving this way. We'll see how far Orion can go from here. I'd rather take the Shrine of Cain, but it'll be difficult to hold against anything. We should also probably... probably about it just destroying Akari so we don't have to deal with anything there. But anyway, let's see what else we have. Loren. Alright, so you are going to take Barak-Var, and I think that's still going to be the case. I see no armies to capitalize on you being away from Doc Karaz, but at the same time, I don't really care about it, so... Oh! You don't have siege attack. Ah, we have to put you on the dragon, then. I was wondering whether we should keep you on the eagle, put you on a stag or something, because you don't have flyers in this army. Potentially yet, in case we get some flyers, but... You need siege attacker, which means we're gonna have to give you a dragon. Which I'm sure you're very happy about, but nonetheless. I'd still like some variety on the mounts for the lords. Nath, who is not Daith, you stay here, you're fine where you are. Datan, you... Well, I guess since you're next in the order, we're gonna have you attack. So, Circo, you're gonna leech. Datan... you know what we could do. Iskura, take all of this, and the War Dancers. Like so. Then you're gonna move... Wait, you're gonna move right here. Oh. I also want to see whether we have a War Dancer Lord yet. Wildwood Drummer, Feyfire Vanguard, Leapborn Savant, no, no, and no. Disappointing. Okay, that's fine though. We're gonna go into Forest Calls. We're gonna have you attack Ungrul's Stoneheart to try out those Eternal Wardens. Alright, you're gonna back off, that's fine. We'll be able to chase you down. And that'll probably destroy the faction, which will mean less wars for us right now, but well, what are you gonna do? Go here. And strike, if in you please. Alright, it's a decisive victory, it's low casualties, it's a pathetic little army, but I kind of want to try out the stuff that we have here, so we're going to fight it. You can have the War Banner, a Razor Standard on the Winterheart Guards, and I believe we're good to go. Go. Alright, to war indeed. Now, it looks like the enemy for this particular battle will have a choke point. Ooh, I love this lighting. We'll have a nice choke point position and probably at least a slightly better position than ours, but that's alright. That'll allow our new Eternal Wardens and our Eternal Guard to hold the line and dish out the damage. Speaking of the Eternal Wardens, let's take a look at them. So they look like the Eternal Guard. I'm just trying to see whether they are using the old sort of gear, and it looks like they're using the old gear, but once again, I do actually like that, because it sort of mixes the different units, and they actually look different from each other. And the difference of the Eternal Wardens, they are still tier 2, but they do have swords and are actually capable of dishing out damage. 61 weapon strength and anti-infantry at that, compared to the 47 of the Eternal Guard with shields here. And they've got more armor and a golden shield rather than a silver as well, just quite nice. Of course, they'll be powered up even further once we have whatever else we want to put in this army, a mage, as well as a war drum. from the Cathans, which I think would go nicely with all of this as well. But for now, it's time to send our Eternal Wardens forward with the Winterheart Guards leading. They've got spears, but they are a regiment of renown, and still look like the Eternal Wardens as well. And there we go, smashing into the enemy lines. The massive pile of Zotes will lead, of course, and their mauls will make quick work, I'm sure. Oh, there we go. Look at how... That's fantastic. Little blobs of Ungors flying with every swing of those mauls. I absolutely love it. There we go, that's what I wanted to see. Of course, we do want to see our Eternal Warden's sword work as well. I'm sure this will take a little bit of a while to deal with this, especially now that Gors have joined the Ungors on the fray as well. I'm loving the splash damage, though. Well done, Zotes. They may not wear armor in the lore, but I still think they look much cooler with the armor. It's just a little bit of armor. There we go. Alright, how are we doing otherwise? There is still this flank to consider as well, and of course these Zotes are forward. We do have a Flush to Stone available on every single one of them because they have those bound Earth abilities. Or Life Lore abilities, rather. And they also have Earth Blood, which is why I said Earth. Alright, it does look like we have had to join the rest of the guard into the fray. The enemy does have the numbers, though, and have surrounded us at least a little bit, so we're going to have to fight in that manner, as in surrounded. Not to worry, though, the enemy doesn't have the damage, I think, on the Gore and Ungor spam to actually be able to deal with Zotes or with the Eternal Guard. And it is nice to see with these, with the upgrades on these guys, the Eternal Guard be a little bit stronger. Maybe you guys can recall when we just started the campaign, well, I guess it wasn't that long ago, when we just started the campaign, the Eternal Guard being a little bit quick to rout, I would say, when they were in Orion's army and taking damage. They routed, it seemed, just as fast as the Beastmen we fought at that time. But here with the Zotes, they're doing pretty okay, and I'm sure the War Drum, which offers potentially immunity to psychology, will make it even better. Anyway, we got some reinforcements moving on the field, a few Forest Eagles. Of course, they are fast enough to join the fray pretty much immediately, despite how far away the reinforcing army is. Of course, we do have additional Eternal Guard here, which are overrunning the enemy position of archers, and ooh, we could really use some spell work here, couldn't we? But honestly, I kind of like the Eternal Guard being surrounded by a massive horde of beastmen and sort of holding on. It's not quite as nice as fighting Skaven, but it's still quite nice. Besides, the right flank of the enemy has completely collapsed and or been destroyed, and those Eternal Guard are now able to join those units that were surrounded. That means more Zotes, and that means more swords, spears, and armor to add to the field. Or to this portion of the battlefield, rather. And of course we have the Forest Eagles who have come back. They've got to bleed on their attacks, and as we know from the Imric campaign, they are damn good. There is a slight difference between the Forest Eagles and the Great Eagles. I can't remember which one is slightly better. I do remember that one is slightly better than the other. I'm almost thinking that the Forest Eagles were the ones that were slightly better. Well, we'll see them to great effectiveness in this campaign, I'm sure, as well, as we do want to get that flying army up and running. And yes, I know, we're working on it. And the Sisters of Twilight will be likely the ones to lead it as soon as we can spare an army to kill off a few Skaven armies and thereby acquire their allegiance/confederation. Anyway, working together with the Eagles, the Zotes absolutely rip apart the enemy Ungors and Gors, and the latter probably really didn't like being charged in the back as well. Very nice. Very nice. We aren't going to put the Eagles in this army, however, because I don't want to take the spotlight from the Eternal Guard and Zotes. For now, still taking them a little bit of a time to deal with the enemy, but between holding the line and still having those Zotes to dish out the damage, I think they'll be fine. Alright, very nice, very nice. The monetary reward, admittedly, not so nice, but the battle was fun. Now, admittedly, it does take a long time for the Eternal Guard/Wardens to dish out damage, but considering they're an early tier line holder unit, that does make sense. And they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's the Zoats that dish out the damage, and as we can see, hovering around 13, 14, 17, 12k, and they are doing so. And we are getting more Zoats in the army, so additional damage as well. I was wondering which of the allures would work best with the Eternal Guard / Wardens. Funnily enough, Shadows could do very decent because it does offer the ability to pop Penumbral Pendulums against the line, but yeah, I think we're still going to do Life Lore. And the reason that we want Life Lore would be to spam the... not the heals, although I'm sure the Zoats could use the heals, but the Shield of Thorns. These guys will hold ground and reflect damage back upon the enemy. But anyway. Nice. Alright, free Dawnstone for you, .in, and... oh, before I forget, actually. Before I forget yet another thing, Azerit, you will summon the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. Like so. And then you will March Stance, because we don't have World Root Stance all the way here. You gotta transfer that to Orion over the course of, well, whenever you actually manage to reach him. And I guess we gotta do the same thing with Durthu. Wait, Durthu, where are you, buddy? I'm looking for you. You're not in our own territory. Wait, Ellen Delling. Well, I guess we can... oh. What's the likelihood I remember next turn? Low? Is it low? It's kind of low. Alright, what about you? You can reach Durthu from here, but once we summon the Firebark Elders, I'm willing to bet you won't be able to move as far. Oh, actually you did that time. Huh, I wonder why that one worked. Alright, go to Durthu. Try not to get intercepted by anything. Yeah, you're good. Alright, Durthu, Firebark Elders for you, my friend. Lovely, you've been waiting on these. And we'll see how effective they are, though they are a little bit expensive. Alright, rest of you are good. What's up next? Loren, you're sieging. Okay, I should have remembered that one. Oh. Oh. It's the best way to... you know what, I'm gonna leave the hero lord names for next time. Well, mostly hero names, because I'm not so sure about any of the lords that we're using right now. But anyway, Iskura and Datan, you need to go places. You're actually waiting here, and oh, was the faction destroyed? World events? Is it a world event? Well, let me see here. We need to know whether the faction was destroyed, because now they're not destroyed, meaning they have another little army running around somewhere, meaning they'll probably go for us again because they ignored everybody else to go for us the first time. We have the Azray Armory ability to build the Azray Armory here, which I guess we probably should. It's construction cost reduction, and it is recruitment cost reduction. I don't really care about the upkeep reduction as much, but, you know, for the recruiter. You've also got the Zoats completed, which is great. Still working on that war drum, though, meaning you'll need to stick around for at least one more turn before you can move. So, go to Ara. Pick up the Zoats. Like so. And we got room for one more war drum. I'll probably have to get rid of a regular Eternal Guard or a Zoat, I haven't decided yet, for a caster. And I don't believe any other heroes would be helpful in this army, so you're fine. We're gonna have to send you somewhere, because your army's nearly ready. Can we build another caster? Do we have capacity? Well, we might, but we can't build them in this particular location. We can build a Waystalker. I don't... oh, you have the Heir of Kurnos one. You're actually solid. What about you? Spellsinger? Ah, finally a new Spellsinger. Ah, it's so difficult to get these. I don't like either of you. That's unfortunate. What about you? Not a big fan of either of those traits. I forget, what do you have? 7 swiftness. Yes, it's fine. Honestly, I'm not so sure that they have a lot of crazy traits, so I'm also not super sure that it's worth waiting around for them. The mages, I mean, the spell singers. So we just build one right now. And but I really don't like either of these two. Alright, they can wait a turn. They can wait a turn. I'm not going to waste money on milling them. Also, while we're down here, let's move the heroes. Tech Thief. Go for some tech thievery, if you please. Or if you would. Ow! Huh. Vladdy defeated Elspeth here, but he did not retake Castle Drakenhof. I had always assumed that the AI would be programmed to attempt to retake their... Also, I don't like Foe Seeker on you. I'm gonna delete you and I'm gonna get a better one. To retake their capital, but surprisingly it didn't even try there. Maybe didn't have the money at the time. Insofar as the AI actually needs money. Considering all the cheating that it gets up to. Anyway, Iskura briefly, or at least for a time, trade all of this stuff back to Ara here. And you have a Lore of Shadows, don't you? With Benevolent, which does have a free Shield of Thorns as well. I was gonna pop Shadows into the Loek army. But once again, I suppose that a Branch Wraith could fill that slot and we could do a Beast Lore there as well, because the Beast Lore would also help them, even though Shadows feels like it's much more lorefully appropriate. But anyway, none of that's super important. Death. You, assuming that there is no army to head directly southward towards, are still going to be clearing out the area around here. I guess the question is whether we want to go up here and take Carrick Dromar. I say we go all the way to Black Crag. Do you have Siege Attacker? No, just like the other guy, you do not, which is unfortunate. Well, what can you do? Alright, go here, let's keep an eye on this. We could take Carrick 8 Peaks if we wanted to. But you know what? Is this the Crooked Moon Mutinous gets? It is, and they only have the one thing. So, you know, I think we'll ignore them, because they are a faction that's at war with us, and thus they are reducing our upkeep. And they're more useful alive than dead, at least at the current time. I also forget, was this turn? Yes, it was this turn. So we will ignore this and keep building. Alright, anybody else? Dare Talk. Ah, yes, Dare Talk. I was going to send you somewhere. The question is, where do we send you? We could have you try to take another tree like Orion's camp. You do also need to heal up a little bit. I'm also a little bit worried about losing those malevolent dryads. We could get you a Branch Wraith. I guess we shouldn't be going anywhere right now anyway. You know what, stick around for 3 turns until the Wild Hunt is back up and running and then go. So just sit in the jungles of Qian. Like so, and can we build the Branch Wraith here? Not yet, apparently. Alright, fine. That'll take a bit. 18k for the Hollow, that's also a little bit expensive. Let's build the Exotic Animal Tamer, however, as well as the Craftsman's Tree. Oh. We'll need to build the other tree thing here, won't we? The Trapper's Den for additional growth. Otherwise the growth will be too slow, especially since the Heathland around here doesn't belong to us. So yeah, we'll hold off on the Exotic Animal Trainer. Or Tamer, whatever. Circo. You were sort of just around here to transfer units, so just sit around. Speaking of units, this is as good as it is in terms of recruitment. There's nothing here that's important to recruit other than the Sisters of the Thorn, but I think you would recruit them slower than Trelon here, so we'll have Trelon do it instead. Trelon? Any more way? Yes! We now have 4 additional Way Watchers. Alright. Spam Way Watchers. Definitely want those, and that's 3 to 4 turns. This is... you're kind of in the same place, I mean, you could build them, the other one could build them. 4 turns, 4 turns. Although I guess if we build them here, then at least you'd still have the same... you build them. Because they're already in the same army, and at least this way we won't need to transfer them. How about the Hawk Riders? We got more Hawk Riders available. Everybody wants to name Hawks. So, no, not yet, but we're working on it. It also took a lot of money, but not much we can do about that. Alright, diplomacy time. What do we got? Exiles of the Heck? No, we're still gonna attack you shortly. Northern Provinces. Looks like they are ready to re-up their alliances. Military alliance, please don't break it this time. I mean, there's a decent likelihood that it was Tzeentch, but the fact... we never actually had diplomatic contact with Tzeentch at the time, though I suppose it could have been diplomatic contact with the Northern Provinces. Also, there was a question in the comments as to whether the Heralds of Ariel are alive, and yes, despite the loss of the Witchwood, or they do still seem to be pretty okay here, so I think we'll be fine. For now, and we'll be reclaiming the Witchwood relatively shortly, at least I hope. Military alliance with Chevalier de Lyonesse and Wissenland. I mean, the Chevalier are probably fine. I don't know whether we care about the military alliance thing, but... Maybe. I mean, actually, if we're not interested in racking up allegiance with them, there's probably not as much of a need. Other than the fact that we can. I'm going to ignore it for now. Exiles of Nahek and everybody else is fine. Disciples of the Moss still want peace with their 2 territories that remain, but alas for them, right now there's no need to do so. Alright, and I believe... Ooh, yes, Spellsinger capacity. Damn, we've been needing this. Damn, we've been needing this. I got more branch wraith capacity as well. If we had money, I'd mill them, but I don't think we can do so right now. I'm just checking out the traits here. I do like the Bound Shield of Thorns one, though. Oh, we actually need a Sylvan Swiftness one. What kind of caster do we want with our ranged army? Probably not the Spellsinger of Beasts, because there's no... Well, actually, there is the Curse of Anra here available to them. Pan's Impenetrable Pelt might be nice. Listen's wild form in case they have to charge. Man, the freaking Lore of Beasts does work nicely for the Wood Elves because it sort of makes weaker units into stronger units, or fragile units into less fragile units, and that's kind of what you want for a lot of Wood Elf armies, which is kind of what's making me constantly consider doing that. But for now, we'll be okay. Alright, let's check out whatever buildings we have remaining, but mostly in the trees. So, Forest of Gloom. I mean, I guess it's always trees, but you know what I mean. You're fine, or at the very least, you need to wait to grow. Athel Loren, you need to wait to grow. Jungles of Qian, you need to wait to grow, and thus, nothing else needs to be constructed. Because we could build the... I don't want to spend 2k on that, at least not right now. Do we want to pay you 6k for a military alliance? I'm gonna say no. I'd like to see what they'd offer us for Black Crag, and then we'll see. Let's end the turn instead, and go to next turn. Try to get to that Shrine of Cain. It's a little bit disappointing that Vol's Anvil, and not the Wood Elf Vol Anvil, but or not the Athel Loren Vol Anvil, but the Bleak Coast Vol Anvil, or up above the Bleak Coast, or northward, does not have a... No, does not have a landmark for the Wood Elves, which is surprising, because we know that the Wood Elves, like all elves, love Vol's Anvils. They just love them. Because they have one, just like all the others. So, yeah, I feel like the landmark should also work for them, considering it's one of the best landmarks in the game, and works for the other elves, but not for us. Oh, well. What can you do? Outpost construction, yes. Spell capacity, yeah, new forest encounter, that's nice. Right in front of Orion's face, really? Right in front of Orion? Okay, Orion, you're gonna deal with that in a second, my friend. You can't take it with you. I beg to differ. Raid Aberham, okay, sure, game, sure, why not? Technologies. I was thinking about going for Cat-Eye there, Forest Cell +1 per turn to all owned magical forests. It's solid. It's solid. Oh, construction cost for all, but now I gotta go with that. Asurian, the creator. And, since this is done in 3 turns, we'll still be in spring, correct? Larimé will be gone, but we'll still be in spring. So it'll be a 20% construction cost for all buildings. You know what would really make that good? If we could get some materials at sea, and this is why we gotta send an army out to sea. And that means building some more tree men and stuff. Once you get a little bit more capacity, that is. Oh, and yeah, lots more capacity. Hey, Templehoff, you've come back. Lovely. Declare war. Why, thank you, Templehoff. That's another 400 gold per turn. Oh, yeah, now new war declarations are starting to be worth a lot of money. Karakazul. Let me declare war on ya. Yeah, kind of friendly with the other dwarfs. Sometimes Imric loves these guys, and sometimes he hates them. I'm not entirely sure which is the case this time around. But anyway, let's ignore all that. Orion, you got a date with Destiny in this forest encounter. What do we have here? Ooh, Shadow Walker's Knowledge. Snipe for all missile infantry, only for 5 turns, but that's very nice. And a stronger foe. I like it. Let's give this a read. The Skaven cannot tunnel onto Ulthuan, but they are devious and adaptable creatures. Clan Moulder has paid a force of DRUCHII corsairs to ferry a small brood of mutant beasts onto the shore of Nagaryth. The Moulder beasts now head to gnaw at the roots of the Gaian Vale, while corsairs pillage the elven settlements. The local shadow warriors of Nagarath would be strong enough to hunt down the beasts if they were not distracted by the pirates. Eliminating the corsairs would be challenging, but would both end the Molder threat and buy the favor of the Shadow King. Corsairs. Yeah, says buy the favor of the Shadow King, but no actual relationship increase, just the little bit of knowledge, and temporary for some reason. Corsairs. What do we got here? Well, they got a lot of corsairs. Should have seen that coming. And shades and a couple of three Charybdises. Charybdises were one of the reasons that I wanted to, if possible, get Dark Elven allies to get the access to their toxic venom as well as their just general coolness. Plus the support units from the Dark Elves, the Bloodwrack Shrines. But anyway, all good. Pyrrhic victory, that's what I like to see. Not as much as I like to see Valiant defeat or Decisive defeat or whatever, but yeah. Alrighty, slaughter them indeed, though apparently Orion screws up once again with the Spear of Ruinous, but what are you gonna do? Ooh, I really like the way these shades look with the sort of white-gray, off-white, very light gray cloaks that they've got. They look quite nice. Reminds me of the actually matches the Hounds of Ruinous a little bit, but anyway, reminds me of those Cainite fanatics that would dress in white in the Malice Darkblade novels, just so that I guess the blood can be seen or your wounds can be seen. But anyway, we got a very nice battle here at last, for Orion. Always nice to see a strong stack for him to deal with. We do charge on in, but the Charybdises are quite good at knocking out quickly those fragile Wild Riders, so we charge in and then charge out, though we do get a few of those stuck as they cannot escape through the Charybdises and Scourge Runner chariots, and thus they will at least take damage. The enemy is charging forward together with a Charybdis as well as some units of, let's say Exalted Plague Bearers for some reason, some enemy unit of Black Arc Reavers, but Orion will meet the Charybdis in the fray. Stop it, allowing us to kill the enemy units of Dark Elven Pirates with the with range concentrated fire, and soon the Charybdis, I'm sure, as well. Orion will take a little bit of damage to this, but he's not super threatened by it. Not like a Charybdis, a single one especially is going to be able to out-hunt him. And we do summon some eagles and send them to attack the Charybdis, but as we can see, the Charybdis absolutely obliterates the eagle summon. It's a pretty, pretty advantageous fight for it, even if it doesn't have the murderous prowess buffing it up. The enemy army is, however, surrounded. We are a little bit cavalry focused right now, so we're hitting them from multiple sides at the same time. Sisters of the Thorn applying their toxic arrows to them. Orion, by the looks of it, has managed to hold off that first Charybdis, which is just about done for, and will get brought down under range fire. Very nice. I like that death animation. I don't see that one a lot. In the meantime, just as our Wild Riders are annoying the enemy, our Hawks are coming down, or our Hawk Riders and Hawks themselves are coming down. Any unit that gets isolated will get absolutely quickly ripped apart by flashing beaks and talons. Not so much the flashing sidearms of the riders of the Hawks, because, well, most mounted units don't actually, well, many mounted units don't actually use their sidearms. It does look like the enemy will send a Charybdis in to try to help the enemy out, and will quickly knock out one or two of the Hawk Riders. We will back up, but the enemy is too late to save those two units of Shades, and we will simply chase them down. Still causing havoc, destroying enemy isolated units, essentially nipping at the heels of the army and destroying it bit by bit. There's little they can do as they just sort of mill around in the center. Those units that try to charge Orion simply fail and get destroyed. The second of the enemy Charybdises gets brought down as well, just as the third did, and the enemy lord has decided that there is no chance at winning this and will attempt to escape. On foot, probably not gonna happen either. Getting hit from several directions now as the Sisters of the Thorn help out with a little bit of that range fire, and the enemy lord, and does go down. The third of the Charybdises will shatter, and with that, the battle will be ours. Frankly, I'm almost feeling like monstrous units like Charybdises maybe shouldn't even route like this. I mean, I suppose it's supposed to have a Beastmaster handler or two, or like a little mob, that is keeping it doing what it's supposed to be doing, and they might be goading it away from the force, because it's a big cost to both capture, train, etc., etc. Hey, Charybdis, but anyway, if it doesn't have a unit, shouldn't it just go into a rampage as soon as the enemies leave it and charge towards our lines? Not that it's super important. Anyway, we'll do a little bit of chasing. A very nice, a very fun fight. A little bit of damage on us, especially a couple of those wild riders when they smashed into those anti-large Charybdises. And it's nice to see them do nice work. I always remember Charybdises being kind of inferior to Hydras, generally speaking, in vanilla. But at the same time, I've always liked bringing them, because they were such cool units. And they're a lot better in SFO as well. Anyway. Alright, very nice, very nice. I'm really enjoying these forest encounters and the way that Orion's army has been evolving throughout the campaign. Since we started off as a sort of generalist army with the Eternal Guard and Glade Guard, slowly that's dwindled, and now we're more of a ranged army, really, and with some cavalry support and lots of ranged cav, and of course as soon as we get Stagnites and more Wild Riders in his army, which are already on the way, he'll be more of a melee cav focused army, and I really like that, because Orion obviously is an army, since he's the legendary lord in this campaign. He's the one that we're seeing the most of, and his army changing over the course of the campaign is a good thing, because it means variety and not just seeing the same army fight over and over and over again. Lots and lots of rewards this time around. We can probably get more post-battle loot by getting that Shrine of Cain shortly. And now, and this is another reason why it's surprising that there haven't been as many name suggestions for Sisters of the Thorn. Look at them. 14k, 18k, 18k. They are devastatingly good units, and that poison really works against the infantry-heavy enemy armies without even considering the bonus damage offered by Shield of Thorns and their supporting abilities. Outkilled and outdamaged everybody else except Orion, which kind of makes sense, but anyway, release captives. Another Royal Standard Bearer. We need one of those on every force. Dark Elves destroyed, but not really. And you cannot reach the Shrine of Cain from here. You can reach Toranlek, which is reasonably well defended. There's a rebel force out here. Frankly, I'm a lot more inclined to... Well, I guess we could just take Toranlek and... No, but then we won't be able to get Shrine of Cain. It has to be the priority here. Grab Shrine of Ruinous. Would we be able to reach the Shrine of Cain after it? I don't know. I think we're just going to march towards the Shrine of Cain and ignore all this. Or we could even raid, because that'll allow us to heal up and get a little bit of cash for our trouble. I like it. Great Stag for Kieran. You know what? Well, that's a question. Now, you know what? We could have a Kieran lead the Stag Knights, while Orion leads the Wild Riders. Yeah, I think I like that. Alright. And that makes sense. Oh, look at all these islands everywhere. One of them might have materials at sea for us. DRUCHII. DRUCHII. Oh, right. DRUCHII. Can you reach Brass Keep? In one go, you cannot. A shame, but not a big deal. We'll pop you into Wait, can we raid? No. We'll pop you into World Roots, then sit right outside of Brass Keep. Ooh, Plague is only one turn. Is there still Plague here? Yeah, there's Plagues everywhere. Well, let's just hope that we don't pick it up. Alright, you go here. Zaltelthios, you can return to Loren Forest. I see Wolfric has stayed in Dietershofen. You know what, let's send Ellendelling together with Deluric to grab that. Take that from him. You don't need to heal. You know what we could do? We could pop you into ambush right here. Okay, how far can he move from here? He can move far. He can move as far as he wants. Alright, go here. And we'll move Deluric in. Try to bait Wolfric into getting attacked by Elendelling, and the relatively limited for now range force, but certainly probably enough to deal with that. Though you can't underestimate those Marauder Hunters with javelins, admittedly. Loren, you can know how to resolve this. And we will be keeping it. Alright, Blood River Valley fully ours, and, well, 1 port to trade good buildings. Not horrible. Might build some buildings there. I still wish we had a commandment available to us, but oh well. Not a big deal. 2 more turns while the hunt slumbers, and until we're ready to start moving around again. Nath, you're stuck there until you're done. Findal, unless I'm mistaken, you got some more Hawk Riders to build, and why don't you build another Sister of the Thorn? Lovely. You're recruiting now. You 1 more turn until the Blade Singers are up. How are you doing? We need 3 Way Watchers to transfer to the other army. Oh, you know what we could do? We could take Circo and we can have him transfer. Go here. We'll have you transfer those Way Watchers. I like that idea. Datan. Okay, first of all, let's check the heroes again, since they should have been milled. Root Strider is terrible, so we're not going to do that. We're out of chosen capacity. What do we have here? Nothing crazy. Okay, what about Spell Singers?
I observe.
7 swiftness again, which is great. But only for those guys in particular, and the rest of this is kind of meh.
Lady of the Glade at your service.
Well, either way. You, Azerit, are going to go into Ara's army, at least for now. And the war drum needs to be given to Datan. Datan, take the war drum.
Orders received.
Like so. And I guess we'll be needing to get rid of probably an Eternal Guard unit. It also depends on whether we want to put some other stuff in here. We'll see what the line looks like. It's not like we need a caster right now. The unfortunate thing is that we can't move until the Wild Hunt is up and running. I mean, you know what we could do, though? We could jump here and have you grab Karakazor.
Ill-judged. Unwise.
Did they fix that? Hey, look at that. Belgar running around with barely anything in his army. It's fine. Dave, you are going to take Black Crag. Unfortunately, until you get your dragon, you're going to have to do it the stupid way, which is besieging, despite the fact that there's barely any defenders. Build, take, trade, etc. Alright, who's up next? Nath is stuck, Daith is stuck, Azerit, you're supposed to transfer to Orion. Unfortunately, you cannot reach Orion. And on top of that, you're kind of in a dangerous position. Oh, alright. Well, I guess we'll meet Orion at the Shrine of Kurnus, which also kind of does make sense. Stay near Phoenix Gate, which does have some defenders, so go just to the edge of it. Obviously, don't attack them. Maybe. Anyway, Recruiter Shaw Muscle, you've completed what recruitment we needed you to do for now. You can build more Wild Riders. We do want more of them in another army. But I think we'll hold off on the money. We need to save money for the end of spring in order to continue building while we have a certain... Huh. Did I do it this turn or last turn? That was already 3 turns. Odd. Wait. No, we're still at 168, so we shouldn't have lost any tech. Well, either way, all of this needs to be transferred. We can't do it yet. So you're stuck where you are. Also, first ritual. Alright, 12. We're nearly there. Who is Iskura again? I keep forgetting. Oh, right, you're this one. And you have the Shadow Spell Singer. Oh, let's check the Milled Lords. Ah, we got a new one. Melee attack plus entering forest battles. Now, terrible. Adventure and still Blossom Blight. Damn. Not the War Dancer one. Alright, you go here. Steel Tech. You're still our only tech thief that is capable of doing so. Dare Talk is also still stuck. And there may be buildings to build, but for now we're saving money. Gotta get ready to upgrade a bunch of tiers of stuff. Ah, we got another big game hunter. That's nice. And the Pathfinder. I'm tempted to get these on the field because they're pretty decent and... well, it's not like we're waiting for capacity on these guys. Also, we want the type of spell singer, now that we have capacity. That isn't here. Damn. There's one that increases tech thievery, but well, I guess we'll wait. That's fine, we'll just get the Waystalkers for now. So, we'll do you Pathfinder and we'll do you Big Game Hunter. Frankly, I'm not sure the Big Game Hunter is worth it compared to Pathfinder, but frankly, I also don't want to spend too much time milling through them, as clearly it's taking kind of a while. We just do a... do one of these? Spellslinger, I mean. Control and Vindictive. Ugh, I really don't like those. Alright, well, we'll give it one more turn. Datan can always come back after taking care of Kazor. Alright, and I do believe that's another end turn, unless... we got Diplomacy. Let's check Diplomacy. Eatane wants to be somewhat friends. Yeah, sure, Eatane. Oh, look at that. Noxus is running around, or floating around. Razakrak wants to trade. And they're wanting to go for that military alliance. Not the defensive, but you know what? Once again, I'm perfectly happy with them holding control of these mountains. We might still kill Billikar, but whatever. Treka won't like it, but she has no diplomatic contacts, so it should not in theory matter. In practice, I'm not entirely sure. Tileo, this is fine. Confederation is still kind of or at least iffy. Ivras, you're fine, and the rest of the diplomacy looks fine to me as well. Oh. We'll have to find, well, hopefully keep an eye out at least for some more factions to declare war upon. Anyway, how is Wurzag in terms of strength now? 6 territories remaining. If they're all in this place, we should be able to knock him out so that he doesn't bother us anymore. And then probably send somebody down here to finish off No Wink, the Disciples of the Maw. We'll see. What do we have in terms of quests? Raid Averheim, win 3 battles against Skaven. I know, guys, I'm working on it. We're working on it. And we gotta get to, these guys. Maybe we send Datayan down there to deal with them. Though, you know what? Fighting nukes with a slow-moving Eternal Guard army may not be the best idea. We should probably move a faster army down there. Which is probably what we'll do. But we won't do it this turn, we'll do it next turn. Let's skip all that and let's go to next turn then. And will that complete the Shadow Dancer army? To some degree. Do we finally peace out with these guys? Not while DRUCHII despises them, I think. Maybe if they start moving towards one of our settlements, but I doubt it. At least it shouldn't be a concern. Alright, let's see if anybody else is... Oh, I see a faction we haven't met yet. That's a potential war declaration right there. There's at least one. Ah, there's another one. Another one. Another one. We gotta give some more vision. Hey, the ambush worked out. I'm pleasantly surprised by that one. Looks like Wulfric wanted to go after Deluric, but Ellen Delling will take him out instead. Go. Okay, whoops. I lost control of my mouse for a second there, but not super important as I don't believe our units would make a speech in an ambush. Anyway, here we go. Deployed up on the hill, our Waywatcher, or Waystalker rather, together with our Glady of the Glade. The Glady. Ooh, I do like that bow, though. The bow looks very nice. I hadn't taken a look at the Glade Lords and Ladies bows there, and wait, did it? Did the bow just change its model to its standard model as soon as she stopped firing? Wait, I need to see this again. Fire guy. Yes, it does. It changes model when she fires. That's that's buggy. The new model does look pretty fantastic though. But anyway, here we go. The enemy will get charged by our units of Glade Riders. Of course, the Glade Riders super fragile, and they probably won't do super well either against the enemy Marauder Hunters with Javelins. We'll keep in the fight with these guys as long as they have that Shield of Thorns up and running. Our Lord, Our Lady, our Waywatcher, and 3 units of Range Cav are all trying to take care of Wulfric, and by the looks of it, with 38 move speed slowed by Poison, Toxic Venom, and Curse of Anra here, he has no chance of chasing these guys down. And I do feel bad for this sorry Wulfric, but, well, you wandered, you strayed too far, and, well, now you're done. Over in the back line, we have deployed most of our Range Cav, where they have destroyed the first of the enemy Mammoths, and will now be moving forward to focus down the enemy Maherd of Blood Fjord. 1 minute in, and the battle will probably be ours relatively soon. Unfortunately, the enemy army is made up of a lot of infantry, which just have no chance of catching our range cav. And of course, once we have a flying caster, as well as some hawk riders and a few more range things in this army, or a few more range cav in this army, it'll be even stronger. And plus, these type of armies are always really, really fun to play. I'm just wondering whether we can... Are there any units from an allied faction that would work with this sort of army? Units that we can countenance actually using, as in from a loreful aspect. Like, obviously we can't bring like a, I don't know, like a unit of Outriders or something. They would work nicely and they would dish out massive amounts of damage with those guns. They just don't feel right. We'll see. That was a very loud scream, random guy. Alright, looks like a little bit of a contest between the Glade Riders with spears and the enemy Marauder horses, but that ends in failure, as it tends to do. Most of the enemy army is attempting to move towards the escape route, but they will get hit with a Dwellers Below. Where did the Dwellers Below come from, you ask? Well, our reinforcements are here, and the Lord has a bound Dwellers Below, having reached rank 10, which is what is offered to the units of Spell Singers. Very nice. Spellweavers, rather. 494 kills, 52k damage with a single spell. A very, very solid. 3 enemy units destroyed, and those that we didn't manage to hit will get run down by the cav. And I do mean run down, as the enemy will shatter and the battle will be ours. It is, after all, an ambush, and we can hardly expect them to be around for it for very long. And just like the Wild Riders, I love watching the Sisters of the Thorn work the sort of zigzag running of the bucks there. It's very entertaining. Plus, the sort of erratic movements that they have must make them a lot harder to hit with arrows and with range fire in general than we would see of a horse as well, which is kind of nice as well. But anyway, we'll run the enemy down, but they got absolutely ripped apart. Ooh, a Tormentor Sword, a very, very nice pickup for one of our ranged armies. Probably not this one, but the sort of infantry one. This I'm very happy about, and a decent amount of money as a reward as well. 211 kills and 36k damage on one of the Sisters of the Thorn. Very, very impressive. A little bit of damage on us, but mostly to the Glade Riders. Getting hit by the occasional mammoth and fighting in melee against some of those Marauder horses who are better in melee, admittedly. Anyway, we'll release those captives. We won't be able to heal. Actually, we will. I lied, because while we have sealed the Nemesis Crown, we have constant casualty or punishment rate. So that does work out for us. Deleg van Kruger, you want peace, but we do not. Alright, ally begins outpost construction, faction destroyed. Huh, wasn't expecting that. Well, that's unfortunate, but you know what? We checked, they were a level 1 or 2 in their camp anyway, so it's not a big deal. And, well, oh well. We'll take it for ourselves here. In a bit. It wasn't as important as some of the other ones, and it's not like they have a legendary lord or anything like that. Anyway, Blood Feuder and Wulfric defeated by Ellen Delling. Very nice. Keep that Tormentor's Sword. Mission successful. Win one battle against the Bowmen of Orion. Well, I wouldn't say it's successful, because we didn't get it, but whatever. Mission aborted. Ready for duty. Ranch Wraith. Another... these little rebellious things. I'm trying to revive the Empire. Stop losing to rebels, please. That would be just swovely. Orion. Oh. I wonder if we should send Orion to kill a Be'lakor. He's got a nice defeat trait. Maybe we should just actually go and kill Be'lakor, because the Wild Hunt will be back next turn, though. But to be fair, Orion's also busy on Ulthuan right now. But anyway, speaking of Orion, Shrine of Cain should have... Yes, look at those defenses. Alright, we probably only have time for one more battle this episode, and this is probably going to be that battle. We got Cold One Dread Knights, we got Executioners, probably some Blackguard in there somewhere, Shades with Great Swords, lots of tier 3, 4, and 5 stuff as well. I love it. Forest Calls, I assume you can't reach the Shrine of Cain even in the March stance? And by the looks of it, no. Oh, well, I guess you're going to have to wait then.
How can I assist you?
Yeah. Well, let's level up for this, because I imagine it'll be an actual fight. Alright, now you have Tempered Rigor. We don't really care about Impenetrable Bark as much. Violent Delights makes you very nasty in melee. But I think we've reached the point where it's time to actually start putting a few points into your actual forces. Do they need it? Probably not, but nonetheless. We'll start with Striking Branches, though frankly this is kind of terrible. 12 charge bonus and 12% speed for the Wild Riders and Stag Knights. Maybe they decided that these units were already so strong that they'd give them atrocious buffs. 6 melee defense and attack. This one's the best. Yeah, and it's better than Piercing Thorns, probably the best one here. Unless any of these have Ward Save or anything like that, but I sincerely doubt it. Yeah. Ancient Bark is solid as well, armor and physical resistance. But anyway, we will do Striking Branches for our cab, and I guess... Wait. Sisters of the Thorn also benefit from this. Huh. Wait, are you telling me Sisters of the Thorn don't benefit from any of the other range stuff? They should probably double dip. Because this doesn't buff their range capabilities at all, it's just giving them speed and charge bonus, but they're a more range-focused type of unit-ish. And we'll get Wings of the Forest to buff the Hawk Riders. I almost said something else. But anyway. It was a Slaneshi giggle moment. Ward of Loic, maybe on you? You have Praevanathrema. You get your Retinue Disciple, but frankly I don't really care. Enemy armor reduction? We got plenty of armor piercing as well. You know what, let's get Tempered Rigor, just in case. For the rare occasions that you have to fight in melee. Our Spellcaster, we're going for Life of Isha. Because while there is a lot of other good stuff in here... Oh, also Research. Damn, that's also tempting. This is why we need more of the Tech Thieves. Life of Isha, though, will need the Casualty or Punishment rate. Need it everywhere. And you just reach rank level 10, but what I don't remember is whether you get anything good at rank level 10. What you will get, though, is Dance of Loic. Oh, right, we do want Born to Ride, don't we? Or wait, actually, Born to Ride... Well, it does give Vigor Loss reduction. It's somewhat useless, as we saw, because these guys all have Strider. But anyway, to the Shrine of Cain we go. Alrighty, Valiant Defeat, that's what I like to see. That's a heck of an elite enemy garrison. These are always fun, so let's have some fun. Alright, here we go. Many an elite to the enemy's name, but interestingly enough, they don't put any of those elites right at the entrance to this settlement, perhaps trying to hide where we cannot reach them with spear or with arrow. Alas, we have the mobility and the flyers to do so anywhere they run. So, we're going to start doing that. Looks like we're going to move forward and start annoying those enemy Cold One Dread Knights because of their constant moving. It'll be probably hard to hit them, at least a little bit, but well, we got plenty of arrows on the Hawk Riders and they can start annoying them with armor-piercing shots, at least for now. And should they decide to actually charge forth, which by the looks of it they are attempting to do, we'll hit them with the nice, I keep wanting to say Gehenna's Golden Hounds, Hounds of Ruinous, right in their way. Not because it'll do any real damage to them, but because it'll stop them in their tracks and allow us to hit them more, and both with a Arrow of Ruinous, or the Hawk's Talons rather, as well as the Hawk Riders themselves. Very nice. Solid damage coming in from Orion, and they do charge on through a little bit and attempt to reach the Sisters of the Thorn, who send their javelins flying and simply back off a little bit more. Sadly for the enemy, these Cold One Dread Knights, by the looks of it, are not going to be able to get too much value. Does look like they just managed to charge on and attack the Sisters of the Thorn, but the Sisters take the charge, and the Wild Riders move through their ranks to obliterate with very, very rapid blows those Wild Riders. I'd be curious to see the performance of both units if we were to charge a unit of Wild Rider directly into a Cold One Dread Knight. I would expect that the relative tankiness and the relative fragility of the Dread Knights and the Wild Riders, respectively, would mean that the Wild Riders would take a pretty massive amount of damage doing so. But I'd still be curious to find out if we can make it happen. There's still plenty of Dark Elves moving around on the map after all. But anyway, Hawk Riders have moved to another place. They are not fighting with the rest of the army, but that's just fine. And will be a sort of fighting and killing isolated units with their multi-shot arrows. It does look like we managed to break down the gate with the that was protecting the enemy, and the Wild Riders will charge on through, knocking down every single Dark Shard, moving through them, and then hitting the units of Executioners are right behind them. Do have to be careful. The Executioners should be able to deal plenty of damage to our Wild Riders, and thus, just so they don't, we're going to buff them with the Vison's Wild Form as well, giving them 40 armor and massively increasing their weapon damage. 142 weapon strength. And it's pretty crazy on a unit that has so much charge as well. Anyway, heavy damage to those Executioners, and we'll move on through, finding ourselves another unit of Shades, Bleak Swords, and then yet another unit of Executioners and Dark Shards behind them. The Wild Hunt rides, and this time Orion is most definitely leading the cab, rather than staying with the range units, or hanging around back here and destroying any enemy unit that tries to charge them, like this unit of Executioners. The Hawks, in the meantime, continue annoying the enemy from up above and trying to destroy the enemy Dark Shards first. And of course, once the enemy's units start becoming more isolated, the Hawks can drop down and actually destroy them in melee rather than needing to harass them like this. But this will work for our purposes, at least for now. Looks like enough damage has been dealt to the enemy armies such that the Murderous Prowess has activated. The enemy has attempted to charge the Death Hag forward, who of course has Murderous Mastery, but I think we've mastered murder quite well ourselves, and the Death Hag will go down before being able to achieve anything. Just too much range here. She does, however, manage to screen the enemy Executioners. Man, so many Executioners who do manage to make their way forth. Oh, I love the Glade Captain on the Great Stag. You gotta admit the Great Stags look pretty darn fantastic, and we'll be seeing plenty more of them with the Stag Knights as we go. Anyway, all the range units now focusing those Harganeth Executioners. They can't block enemy shots like Swords Masters can, and will thus get ripped apart in range, and the Stag comes in to show off a little bit as well. Not that it's needed. Mind you, over in the background, our little mini Wild Hunt with Orion and all of our units of Wild Riders are still just rushing through the enemy back lines and obliterating anything they find. Maybe not quite a back lines, as, well, it's not just range back here. They found plenty of enemy stronger units like these Executioners. But they get run down by all of these guys anyway. Alright, Hawk Riders continue flying around, and ooh, if it isn't an isolated unit of enemy Shades, well-ity. Well, we know that the Hawk Riders are plenty strong enough to kill off a relatively fragile unit like this, and they disappear, as in the enemy disappears under the wings of those Hawks. And so does their capability of fighting, as they quickly lose 90% of their HP and get obliterated. Another charge coming in from those Wild Riders, and I do believe this enemy army is pretty much done for. The bounce power shifts to about 90% in our favor. I think 3 enemy units remain on field with full HP. We no longer need the range units to move forward. There was a unit of Blackguard and Nagaron which didn't manage to make their way to the fight, but I suppose it didn't matter over much anyway. Very nice. Nice sort of systematically destroying the enemy army. And it worked quite well for us. Took a little bit of damage on a couple of units, but nothing to be concerned about, especially considering the relative eliteness of the enemy garrison. And man, almost every faction I play, I'm always very jealous of the Dark Elves garrisons. They're very, very strong. They get so many elite units with them. I feel like the Dark Elves in SFO have the strongest garrisons in the game, which is pretty interesting as well. But anyway. Alrighty, a really fun fight. I like the way that we essentially separated our army into 3 separate divisions, sort of a microcosm of a wild hunt, with Orion keeping together with the massively damage-dealing wild riders, a few bucks units taking the lead in terms of damage at 31k, and the rest hovering at around 20. And then, of course, we had the range portion of the army, and then we had the sort of flying portion of the army, all of which were acting separately, but at the same time all working together to destroy the enemy settlement district by district, or retake it, I suppose. We are going to... I'd love to raise it, but it's going to cost just as much to reoccupy it, so we can't do that. I still feel like it shouldn't cost us anything to take outposts, but instead costing like 10k is kind of silly. But anyway, seating. Frankly, I feel like the Wood Elves should have the same tech that the Skaven have, which makes it cost nothing to colonize. I'm pretty sure we don't have that, though. Or at the very least, if we did... I feel like I would have seen it, or at least remembered it. And again, my memory ain't so good no more, so who knows? No, I don't see it. Alright, so we'll ignore the rest of those. Anyway, Shrine of Cain is ours. The garrison here is still kind of meh, surprisingly. 2 Eternal Guard and 2 Way Watchers, but 15% post-battle loot is really nice, and we'll certainly be keeping that. Orion, heal up. And then meet at the Shrine of Ruinous with Aezrit next turn. Still gotta get Toran, but who knows? Maybe these guys can take it without our intervention. I'd rather move here and not only knock out Nakari, but also get his defeat trait. Anyway, we had our little mini wild hunt, but the proper one will be up next turn. But alas, we're out of time, so I'm gonna have to call the episode here, and we'll have to get to that next time around. Next time, by the looks of it, we are pretty likely to pop our first ritual and try to defend it, and get our first tier 5 as well, which means Stagnites, and immediately the ability to build 4 as soon as it's up and running, and Forest Dragons and Treemen, though I think we'll need another tier 5 before we get more Treemen. But that's alright, we're working on that as well. And hopefully we'll be able to get a few more as we rack up a little bit of money. Maybe stop recruitment for a few turns, as we do have more armies up and running. And with the Wild Hunt up and running again, we'll be able to send various armies to do various things, like the War Dancers, which are nearly ready to go as well. So that'll be fun. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. I forgot whether I said the threshold thing, but threshold as usual for the hour-long episode. And thanks for watching.